So while Tony's out, I wanted him to look at one of my favorite cars. We're just getting ready to get started on it. We're way behind on everything, but 70 Challenger RT 446 Pack 4-speed car.
Rare car.
Very rare. So one of my favorite cars on the lot is a 1970 Dodge Challenger RT convertible, which convertible is always great stuff anyway. This particular one's a JS27V Victor. So that means it's a 446 pack. It's got a D21 4-speed transmission, 354 Dana, B5 blue, white top, white interior. And it's mostly an original car. So I could not wait to have Tony walk around this one with me so we could see exactly what's original, what's not. I just wanted him to put his eyes on it. Take a look under the hood, tell me what you think. So yeah, I do see, you know, evidence people have been there, no doubt about it. You know how the spring clamps?
Yes.
That the original ones were real sharp on the edge, and the reproduction ones, and the later ones, because OSHA made it put the rounded corners on.
How many of everybody, people watching you, have cut themselves on those
just
points?
Doing nothing. I'm just kind of wiggle this, and you come out and bam.
Scrape little bloodline,
yeah.
you know?
The other thing I thought was really neat under here, because there has been some changes, but the vacuum line clamps, a lot of people put these together, the 6-pack secondary vacuum lines. Do you know if these spines on this hose are just like the heater hoses, but smaller? That's the factory one?
Yes.
In all likelihood?
Yes.
And these S-hooks that join it together with the metal?
I know for sure one. I'm pretty sure two is correct. I'm not 1,000%, but I'm pretty sure.
Again, this is the funnest part for me, is the originality of the cars, and I know that it is for Tony too. This is a very original car, although a few things have been changed under the hood. But a few years ago, I bought a 70 GTX out of Veneta, out where Chrome Dome lives. Very original car, like the hood had never been opened on it. When you look at those pictures, every clamp, every Corbin clamp, every hose, every screw, nut, bolt, wing washer for the air cleaner, everything is original on it. It's my favorite thing in the world to look at an original car, because there's no arguing with it. If you wonder how it left the factory, go look at an original car. It's the best phone book you'll ever find. These hoses with these spines, is anybody making these? I don't know. Is Curie or Classic, anybody?
Is it the same as the washer line feed?
It looks like this is smaller than that, though. A little bit. The washer hose
they make it doesn't have them.
Doesn't have them, right. No, only the heater hoses that you get right now from like Battleson and Classic Industries, they have that. Now Dodge, just like the rest of the manufacturers, wasn't interested in just throwing money away. They like to save money too. You can see that same spined heater hose that you see on this car on a Shaker 1970 Cuda or a 71 as the drain tubes. All they did was cut a section of that off, stuck it on the base, air cleaner base, and that was your drain tube for it. Overall, kind of at a glance, you know, there's a lot of originality. You notice what's wrong with the voltage regulator?
Well, it's a later replacement with the yellow.
Yeah. Should be white writing on there.
Of course, yeah.
And what's the date? 334, what does that mean, that date
Well,
code?
the 33rd week of 74.
When you look at these cars, the other thing besides just the originality of all the nuts and the bolts and the parts is the sloppiness.
And you know, one thing for originality, though, you could look at the overspray from the black on the front of the cowl.
Yes.
You see? Well, except you need a wiper motor.
Right.
You know.
And here's all the seam sealer, right? Looking at the seam sealer pouring out between the upper cowl panel and the firewall. Looking at the overspray. I look at it every day because of Will. You know what I'm saying?
I have no idea what Mark's talking about. I'm sure it's just an opportunity to show off or put me down.
Well, I'm not showing off or putting him down. I'm just talking about the facts, right? You know what the facts? Go to the source. He'll give you the answer that you endorse. It's Mr. Ed, man. A horse is a horse, of course, and nobody can talk to a horse, of course, unless, of course, the name of the horse is the famous Mr. Ed. So, you know, and that's a talking horse.
And there's the two dimples for...
If it were a shaker car.
Or the other cable...
It'd be a choke in 71.
Yeah, well, yeah, but this was... There was something else in 70. May have been the AC control cable.
But AC wouldn't have been available with it.
Well, of course, but on an e-body it was. Yeah, that's why the dimple's there.
What we're talking about here are just factory provisions that would help somebody on the assembly line locate and create a hole for an accessory on a car. So what Tony's talking about is the heater control valve for, let's say, a 70 Challenger like this one that had air conditioning. It would use a cable that goes through the firewall and goes over to the heater control valve. That would be its access point, one of those two dimples. Also, one of those holes gets punched out for the shaker hood. If you had the 71 Cuda with a shaker hood, you would have two holes punched out because one of them is a manual choke for the dual force and the other one is the cold air for the shaker.
Early car has got aluminum intake. Let's see what.
But not all that early, because I've seen the aluminum intake intake manifolds like on cars built up to late 69, now before the end of the year.
Superbird seemed to get them, which was a later car. Well, this was right in Superbird time. This is October 8th, A08. So October 69 this was built. And that's right in the middle of Superbird time.
Gotcha.
I don't think any past November you really see Edelbrock unless it was something hanging around that they ended up putting on that got misplaced.
When Chrysler introduced the 446 back in 69 and a half, they had Edelbrock create the intake manifold. It was an aluminum intake manifold, had the word Edelbrock on it. In 1970, somewhere, after production started, they started making their own manifolds. That's what Tony and I are talking about. Somewhere in that before the end of the year, although we've seen them later, for the most part, there should be a changeover. If you had a car built in January, February, or March, say, of 1970, it probably ought to have a cast iron manifold on it. You know, prior to, say, December, we've seen them both ways. We've seen them with the leftover Edelbrock aluminum intake manifolds, and we've seen them with the cast iron. So that's what we're talking about there.
Idle solenoids here, highly rare, highly sought after.
Like hen's teeth. Correct throttle return.
Yeah, the taller one for the six-pack.
And they've even got kind of a correct orientation here. People don't realize that this battery cable is supposed to be sandwiched between the manifold and this originally.
Right, but on the assembly line, they came both ways.
You have seen them?
Oh, absolutely,
Okay,
yep.
I got you.
Unrestored cars, sure.
Because it does seem weird when you're doing it. It's like that, to wedge it in between the two seems kind of weird as a technician.
Right.
I wonder which one was right. Which one did the book say?
Well, the TSB, I think, called it, like you said, to be sandwiched between.
Sandwiched between it.
But
it's a double ground that way. It gets lots of meat on it, yeah. The negative battery cable where it grounds at the cylinder head, there is an actual pattern for that. It's supposed to be the bolt with the extruded lock washer. Then it goes into the throttle return bracket, and then between the throttle return bracket and the head is where you see the cable. But like Tony says, these are guys on an assembly line, so not all of them followed that. My 1970 GTX I was telling you about, that's the way that one was oriented. Anything else? Radiator looks like maybe a 68 B-body?
Yeah, 68 B-body, but it has the correct E-body shroud, so they must have used the side straps from the E-body car to use the right shroud. The 2998.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 2998 326 shroud.
956.
No, radiator 956 shroud.
Oh, okay. You said 923.
That's supposed to be the, 2998, 956. There.
Okay. I said 2998 926 shroud.
Oh, shroud.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't try to. What's he doing all coming at the tray all hard and stuff? I heard radiator, I didn't hear shroud. What's it coded for mirrors? Is it like a G33?
G31 and G33.
Right hand and left hand outside chrome. Okay. Because it could have been painted.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
For sure. On this car, a standard mirror, if you hadn't ordered any optional mirror, you would have got what we call the poverty mirror. It was a chrome outside mirror. It was kind of an oval shape. Doug's Barracuda, oddly enough, super loaded car, had that mirror on it. It's manual, it's not remote.
Original H bolts for the carburetors.
Yeah, the Highland bolts. Yep.
Highland Bolt Company.
Now, you're making these manifolds, or are you ever going to finish these manifolds? What's
hope
going
so.
on? I need some.
I know.
What are you doing?
Hopefully by the time...
You come back out next year.
Hopefully by the time people are watching this, I'll have them. Okay.
Tony's been working on this for a while, reproducing the 7071 440 HP exhaust manifold, same as 383. We get the 879 and an 865. It's just taken a while to get them right. Tony's real anal retentive about making those parts right. If you look at his other parts, they're perfect. They're exactly like the manufacturer. He wants these manifolds the exact same way, and I'm glad that he does, because it's good for our industry. I was telling you earlier that we went out in the field. The funny thing is you can let this car set for 6 months, and if the battery goes dead, the battery goes dead. But you jump the battery, the car starts right up. The power top works. Everything.
That's amazing for a six-pack.
Just one of those good cars, right? Oh, I know. A six-pack is so cantankerous, and
they're always a pain in the, right.
The V6W, very likely the original stripe. I think a lot of the paint on the car is original. While it's terrible, I think a lot of it is original. Notice how far down from the style line that is. Maybe 3/8 of an inch, or maybe even as much as a half an inch
that's
in some areas. But at the back,
it meets the body line.
Yeah, it comes all the way up to the bottom. Historically speaking, when I've looked at original cars, that stripe is real close to that style line that goes down the car. This one drifts quite a bit, but yet it looks factory. So if some guy goes out there and he puts it on and it gets a little bit low, you can't peel it back off again without ruining it, so they probably call it good. That's that mass manufacturing quality or lack thereof that you hear about. So it doesn't surprise me that it's off a little bit. We just try to make ours better. I like to follow the style line a little bit closer. Yes. I don't know why. It seems that when you do, it fits the wheel opening better. The concave of the wheel opening, it doesn't override it. So the RT on the stripe needs to be centered in the Challenger. We're talking about the RT call out in a side stripe on a Challenger, the longitudinal stripe. In this case, the word Challenger, the letters RT should be directly in the middle of the word Challenger. We've seen manufacturers make these decals and they're all over the place. So, you know, we buy ours from Phoenix Graphics, and we have for 20-some years, and they're always duplicates of the originals. So that's why I stick with it. People say, why are they paying them? Paying me anything. It's just I'm trying to inform you of exactly what quality parts you can put on your car. I would like to preface everything by saying I'm old.
And wearing a Firebird shirt.
And I'm wearing a Firebird shirt. You know, Tony been picking on me about the Rockford shirt. I thought it was important to point out why I like Jim Rockford, why I like the show, why I like a 74 Pontiac Firebird Esprit. And my dad's dead, and I had a tumor in my foot. Osgood slaughter in my left knee, colorblind. So you should at very least have mercy on me.
You're good.
Thank you, buddy. It's pretty original. One thing I would like to know, I have a hunch that the carpet's original, but could you
let me see.
Because I fell for that once on that Cornet. You told me.
Oh, yeah.
What are you looking at?
The backing to the carpet, the insulation. If it's a brownish yellow, it's original. If it's gray, it's reproduction.
You notice the color of the pistol grips? Do you have any NOS ones you could give me for free?
No.
Let me rephrase it. Do you have any NOS ones?
No, I have some real low mileage ones, though.
Okay. Yeah. I just wonder how much like the grain pattern. I just like to see one in its original
state. Yeah, okay. I'll do that.
So.
And then, of course, you got the 70-only console that has the big opening in the back. Contrary to most people's belief, that's a seatbelt receptacle, not an ashtray.
We know that's a receptacle for the seatbelts, right? It's not an ashtray.
Correct.
So why aren't there ashtrays in the quarter armrests?
In 1970, as crazy as it sounds, if you didn't option a cigarette lighter, you didn't get rear ashtrays.
I admit I like setting Tony up once in a while just to make sure he's paying attention, make sure he knows his stuff. And I gotta say, he's tough to catch. Because if you don't have a cigarette lighter, there's no other way in the world to light a cigarette.
Right.
Now, what would John McClane say to that? Mr. Zippo himself, yippee-ki-yay. He ain't gonna use no cigarette lighter. What's he gonna put a cigarette lighter in and pull it out and go yippee-ki-yay? No, it's the Zippo, man. Talking Zippo, man. Talking Zippo lighters, man, you know? Oh, John McClane always had one. He'd flip it open, he'd smoke cigarettes, those European cigarettes, those spendy ones. Because that one guy had the, remember? The guy he first killed in Die Hard had those expensive cigarettes. He was telling his friend Al Powell, well, they must be expensive because of the cigarettes. And they had little tiny feet, and he couldn't wear his shoes, and that's why he ended up running around the whole Nakatomi Plaza, cutting his feet all up because he didn't have no shoes, you know? Now, what are we doing again? It's a good, clean, original car.
Yeah.
Got a little dirtier setting here, but...
It looks like it had, like, not a restoration, but an older...
I think it's had some cleanup. Like maybe what you and I were talking about on the Daytona as an alternative to restoring it. Maybe you fix a seat, maybe you fix a door panel, maybe you spot paint this. But I know that the guy's had it for quite a while now, and he's really excited to see it done and restored. And they should be.
But I mean, the original carpeting, it's just, you know...
No, that's a good car, Tony. I think that is. I'm glad you looked at that with me. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to see the rare stuff here.
Oh, man.
This is just Mopar heaven walking through this place.
I'm still hungry. Let's go eat.
You know I'm hungry.
Let's do it. All right. Yeah, thanks for looking at that. That was a good car.
Yeah.
Hello ghouls, Mark Warman here, the Ice Tray from Graveyard Carz. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it, drop a comment down below, and subscribe to our channel. We have fantastic stuff coming up, and some of it you've never seen before. I gotta go insult people. Hey, Alice!